Truffles. That's right, we're back for this Ramadan. And so to start off the whole series, I'm going to take a verse from Surah Al-Baqarah that's actually related to the whole concept of what we're doing in Taraweeh Truffles. Now before I tell you the verse, I want to tell you a story about this ayah, but before I do, let's recite the ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran,
وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ.
Now, when I was 11 years old and I was still learning how to read Quran and I began memorizing, I was actually memorizing the entire Quran and I was on page 3 in the Quran memorizing this ayah. It's a story of Adam alayhi salam with the angels and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the angels to prostrate to Adam. At that point, at 11 years old, I had one of the most amazing experiences in my life. I read this verse and I understood what it meant. Now, imagine this. I'm 11 years old and I was so excited. I was on cloud 9. I was like, I understand what this means. And I kind of like, you're 11 years old, you want to show off to your friends, you want to tell them, I know what this means. So I grabbed some guy who was sitting beside me, another student, and I wanted to tell him, hey, I know what this verse means. But right before telling him that I knew what the verse meant, I wanted to intensify the joy. I wanted him to not know what it meant so that I could tell him, well, you know what, this verse means so-and-so, right? Remember, I was 11 years old. So I go to my friend who doesn't know Arabic and I'm like, hey, do you know what this verse means? And he looks down at the verse and he says to himself, Qulna, we said, Malaika, usjudu. He was like the angels, sajda, Adam, illa iblis. He's like the verse is talking about the angels prostrating to Adam, and everybody did it except Iblis. And I was like, you know what? You're right. So my moment of glory in showing my friend that I knew what this verse meant was lost. But the point remains, and that is the euphoria of understanding what is being said in the Quran. As you go for Taraweeh, as you're listening to the Quran being recited, many people are standing there in prayer and they don't know what the Imam is saying in the Quran that's being recited. There will be days when the Imam will cry. There will be du'as where everybody's bawling and tearing. And you might be one of the people that's just standing there saying, man, I wish I could understand what's being said because then I could cry too. There was an old man in our community, an African-American man, who once came to me in the hallway. He was in an Islamic school back in the day. And he came to me and he said, I want you to translate everything that the Imam's saying in Salah. So I said to myself, you want me to translate everything that the Imam says? And this brother, he was an old African-American man, he actually had paper and pen with him. He wanted me to translate it right then and there. So before I was about to tell him that, you know what, I can't translate, that this is going to take like a couple of days to translate, he started crying. And from behind his tears, he said to me that we're Muslim too. And if we understood the Arabic, we would cry just like you guys cry. And so you have to understand that the Quran was revealed لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ, so that the verses would be contemplated and be thought upon. And in another ayah, this is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 82, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ, won't they contemplate the Quran? So the purpose of us coming into this Ramadan and the Quran being recited is not for us to just stand there listening and not understanding, but in fact spending the time learning what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about in these verses that are being recited. And to that end, we started this series called Taraweeh Truffles, where we take little truffles from what's being recited in the Quran during the Taraweeh each night in Ramadan, and then we present it in this video so that you can understand with me some of the verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about. This is season 3 of Taraweeh Truffles. We've done it in the past. Now this year we've got something special for you, something that I call Taraweeh Truffles, the League of Prophets edition. What I've done in the selection of the ayat is that throughout the month of Ramadan, in each day, in each juz or each part of the Quran, I'm going to take a verse that speaks about the prophets, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about their stories or their character and encourages us to copy them and emulate them and follow their guidance. In this season of Taraweeh Truffles, we're going to focus on those verses that speak about the prophets, alayhimus salam. Inshallah, I hope you benefit a lot from this entire season. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn many things and enjoy commenting and discussing the verses of the Quran, but I need some help from you. All I ask is you put in the effort to help share these videos. So you might benefit, but inshallah ta'ala, if you press the share button or you press the like button or you comment or you tell your friends about it or maybe some family members of yours, share the video with them. All I ask is that you help in the sharing process, and inshallah ta'ala, our khair and our benefit can go very far and wide throughout this amazing month of Ramadan. So that's it for today. Inshallah ta'ala, tell your friends about it. Taraweeh Truffles season 3 is on. League of Prophets. Tell them about it and we'll see you tomorrow inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.